Yo guys, my name's Callum Stewart, I'm 24 years old and this is my presentation, Darkness in Rainbows. As you'll see throughout the entire presentation, you'll witness sort of three stages that I went through in life. So one being my medical history, two being my academic life, and three, the experiences I went through which led up to the development and eventual creation of my most unique ability.
Hi, I'm the mummy, Jane. He was little once. Callum was born on a beautiful sunny November day at home because I don't like hospitals, which is rather ironic. And about 9 weeks later, his eyes started to jiggle. And after a lot of toing and froing from doctors, he was finally had an MRI scan at Gosh, which showed that he had a very large, as you can see up there, optic glioma. And at 5 months old, we started a course of chemotherapy at Gosh. We were very, very blessed, and I'm glad you're here, Ski, to have the most compassionate, wonderful man, and we were under your care, and we always think of you, Ski. You're an amazing, amazing man. I think we were all of us in love with Ski. So we started the treatment, and as you can see, as it went on, it did debulk, but that causes cystic fluid. So what Helen was talking about later about your brain getting squashed over, if you look at the top one, that was the cystic fluid pushing Callum's brain over, but then he had a shunt inserted to aspirate that. So we were living at Dorset and London at the time, so this is our journeys that we took from Dorset up to Gosh and then back again. So there was a lot of toing and froing. But we were in a cot most of the time, breastfeeding, throughout it all for 15 months, and it debulked, and off we trotted home. Just as Callum was about to start prep school when he was nearly 4, and just before I was going to give birth to my second son, Finn, the tumour started to regrow, which was horrible and shocking, as you can imagine. So we were transferred to the Middlesex Hospital. Filthy little hospital it was. There were cockroaches on the way to the radiotherapy unit, and the lift always broke down when we were in it. I was always on the phone complaining. It was terrible. But we had lovely nurses. Haddie and Louise were absolute angels, and we remember them too to this day. So these were the side effects and acquired disabilities. Callum made this when he went to college for his graphic design show. That's his brain, the optic glioma, and his eyeballs. He was, so it was in a rubbish position, also near his hypothalamus and pituitary. He went into puberty when he was 1, so we had a cocktail of drugs going on throughout the years, trying to sort of make him grow but stop the puberty. And the most effect was that his right eye was most affected. He's severely visually impaired. But when we had the radiotherapy, it seemed to release some of the pressure on the right eye, so Callum's got some vision in it now. The chemotherapy, sadly, the toxicity took out his high range of hearing. And this is his radiotherapy mask. I think they're a bit different now. This was 1990, or 2000, no,
2003.
2003. I think they're different now, aren't they? So you can see where all the radiotherapy went in to his little head. But obviously that caused some frontal lobe damage, and with his processing and organising, that's how it was done then. I believe you're wanting it to be done differently now. It was inoperable because of the position of it. I think there was one little child who lost all her sight, but Callum luckily retained some of his. So this is the little prep school he went to. I had to go to tribunal to keep him there. The local council wanted us to transfer to a state primary, but as Callum had been there since on and off since he was sort of 3, 2.5, 3, he knew it. He knew everywhere to go. He knew all the teachers, and we didn't want to move him. We thought it would be very disruptive. So I went to tribunal. It took me 2 years, and I won, and he was allowed to stay there. And unfortunately, the council rather shot themselves in the foot because they couldn't do part funding. They ended up having to fund everything, which included all the TAs and the lovely hearing and visual advisory teachers that we had. He then went to Bedminster School, which I think Callum struggled. He got 5 GCSEs, including his maths and English, which was brilliant. And but I think what we found was that nobody knew what to do or knew anything about acquired brain injury, so there was no help. And Callum, like Catherine, don't look particularly like you have you can't see properly, you can't hear properly, although you've got hearing aids. Yeah. And people expected a lot, and that's not a bad thing. But when you don't have any understanding of acquired brain injury, and they say, oh, we don't want to label people, and although he had a statement, the TAs and teachers were mostly very wanting, which was sad, because he was a lovely, bright boy. Anyway, enough to get into Yeovil College to do art and design, and then graphic design, and he ended up doing a foundation degree in graphic design, which was brilliant, wasn't it, darling? Yeah, and he won the Shining Star Award, and did very, very well, but with a lot of help, again. Okay.
Yeah. Right, so of all the unique abilities that I acquired or obtained over the years, by far the most unique is that of chromesthesia, where I'm able to, associate musical notes with colours. And as you can see here, this is just a single sort of section from what would otherwise be sort of tripled on a regular keyboard. And all of the keys have been colour-coded according to which musical note I associate with which colour and vice versa. And as you can see here, I actually created this on PowerPoint using shapes. So what this would be is a full synesthetic keyboard display of how a keyboard would look if it had been adapted specifically to my chromesthesia. And as you can see from what you just saw on the previous page, that was it just showed one section, whereas on a regular keyboard you'd have 3 of those, and they've all been given the letters that we note them down as. Okay, so to understand how my chromesthesia came to be, we must look back on my toddlerhood and my nursery days. From which I listened to different nursery rhymes, from different sources, such as VTech, musical toys, watching watching stuff on VHS, or even listening to nursery rhymes on cassette tapes. And during my nursery days, I started to take a particular liking to F sharp, which today I associate with being the most powerful and darkest musical note, and as you would have seen, it's colour-coded dark purple, which is my favourite colour. And to give you an example of what I mean when I see a song, not so much sort of physically, but more sort of mentally in colour, this would be an example of the nursery rhyme Bingo, and as you can see here, it follows the heptatonic scale, or the 7 musical note family of G rather. And in this case, as you can see here, this would go. There was a farmer who had a dog, and Bingo was his name. Oh, B-I-N-G-O, 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 and Bingo was his name. Oh. And so, but to show, but but, oh, sorry, not that yet. Not so fast. Okay, so to understand what led to the further development and and eventual completion of microanesthesia as it is today, we must move on to what is today my number one interest, which is metal music. Yeah. So as you can see before you, on both sides of the page make up the 30 individual subgenres and fusion genres that I listen to. And to give you an example, we have things like funeral doom, pagan black metal, and true Scottish pirate metal, just to name a few. And as you can see here, we've got some examples of band logos and a few band pics as well. So with the discovery of metal, it's just given me the ability to self-teach myself all of the characteristics of music, and thanks to my perfect pitched hearing, which I retained from the damages received during chemo treatment, it's just made me have a really good ear for music, to the point that I can that someone can play me any musical note off a keyboard and I will always get it right. And this is just and because of this, I'm able to explain all of the musical characteristics such as heptatonic scales, root note, pentatonic note, and so on. Oh yeah, and also metal, has not only diversified into the most diverse music scene on the planet, but it's also helped people with mental health issues. And while a lot of oldies may think that metal sort of, or any sort of heavy or, sort of similar music induces negative or sort of antisocial behaviour, in most cases it really sort of helps people to express those things, but without having to take it out on a lot of other people. So it's like, so instead of saying like, I hate you, you can say that, to the lyrics of the song, Okay, so always remember, just because you have a disability or two, doesn't mean that what abilities you already have, or ones that you, new ones that you obtain over the years, doesn't mean that, that you're completely out for the count. So, as you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. One man's disability is another man's ability. And it all depends on how you can manipulate that to the fullest of your true potentials. So, finally, I'm hoping to soon launch my personal blog, which inspired the name of this whole presentation, Darkness in Rainbows, a synesthete's perception of extreme metal. And for those who are interested, you can find out everything sort of about what I've learned from metal, my knowledge of metal, and how it has shaped my life to the point I want to be a part of it, as you can see by my clothes and everything. So I really hope you enjoyed all of that, and thank you for listening.